Hi, my name is Mia McKenzie, and today I'm going to be doing my presentation over sport facility management. So, a couple things about pricing. In the US, we had about 8 facilities that can seat well over 10,000 people, and it was projected to be about $4.4 billion, which is a lot when you think of only 8 facilities. And in Brazil, when they were having the World Cup and had to make all the renovations, they had to spend about $3.6 billion. And then the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta is about $1.5 billion to create all of that. So, overview of facility management. So, sports facilities can be single purpose or multi-purpose. So, if you look at some examples of a single purpose facility, it would be like a bowling alley, like we have at the athletic center, swimming pool, skate parks, motor parks, golf courses, and softball and baseball fields, because these are all sports that need a specific facility for them to operate. And then you want to think of another one is single purpose specialized sports. So like ice skating, you have to have an arena that can, one, keep the temperature of the ice so it doesn't melt, and be able to accommodate people so they're comfortable in sitting in a very cold facility. And then you have multi-purpose large stadiums. So like the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, it can host multiple events. So not only does it hold football games, but I was actually at a concert there. I saw Beyonce back over Winter Break 2 years ago, and it was huge, and the concert was really crazy. And it was just really nice to see how a football stadium can also be a concert area as well. And then you have non-traditional ones like this skateboard parks and convertible indoor to outdoor facilities, which are really cool. Okay, so let's talk about seating. If you go to page 338, it talks about how seating progressed over the years. So you can start with Michigan State. This book starts with, for example, it started with seating about 72,000 people, but over the years has gone over to 109,901 seats in their facility. And then you have a lot of SEC schools, Ohio, Texas A&M, Tennessee, and Alabama that have stadiums to seat over 100,000 people. And then in other countries such as Italy, they started they're still a little behind, but they started at 10,000 back in 1972, I believe, and now they're about 80,000. So the more sports progress, the more you had to accommodate for seating for fans and people to come attend these events. And some fun facts: the Mayday Stadium in North Korea is the largest stadium in the world and can seat about 150,000 people. And then you have the second largest in Salt Lake Stadium in India, which seats over 120,000 people. And this is just a picture of the first one. So this is the one from North Korea. You can see there's a track around it, so they host track events, and also a soccer field that hosts soccer events as well. And I'm sure they probably host more events than that. And then the one in India, kind of the same setup, just less seating. So facility management, there are 3 key people in facility management. You have the facility director, the operations manager, and the event coordinator. So the facility director overall is responsible for the entire overseeing of the facility, but he's not alone. He has the help from the operations manager and the event coordinator. Now the operations manager just makes sure everything is operating correctly, make sure that all the plugs are working, everything is electrically running smoothly. And then you have the event coordinator that also reports to the facility manager as well, and they're just making sure everything is running smoothly, like this person's going to go at this time, we need to make this group of people go here at this time. So they're just planning the whole event. When is the time sequence of everything going to happen? So event management. Every event, I love what the book said, every event is a product, an outcome, and an occurrence. You always want to make sure that you're putting on your best show or your best event because you want to make it keep going on. I'm sure that if you want to take the Grammys, for instance, you want to make sure that the Grammys are interesting to your viewers, but it's also a place where people want to come and want to continue to come, be recognized because of the awards that are given, because of the entertainment they see. And so this is why it's super important. And then you have an executive director, and it's a crucial part in the event planning because they're in charge of developing operational and strategic plans. So they're also in charge of budgeting and finding solutions to any problems that are going to occur, or just being kind of aware of, okay, if this can potentially happen, we need a plan B. So that is important about an executive director in event management. And then you have the operations division manager. They are in charge of hiring all personnel and procedures. So making sure that if they need a certain requirement, certain contract signed, if they need screenings done, if they need certain tests done, evaluations, they're in charge of hiring all those personnel and then making sure that they're following the correct procedures so that they can be active and operate in the event. And then some activities that they're in charge of are listed below: medical services, merchandising and concessions, transportation, little things like that. And so public relations. This is continued off of facility management. But public relations and marketing and hospitality, you always want to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward whenever you're dealing with customers, old or new. And so let's say someone has been coming to your events for a while, or people are season ticket holders, VIPs. You always want to make sure that everyone from not that important or higher up, as in VIPs, is getting accommodated correctly. So if a VIP is supposed to have a certain seat, a certain kind of meal whenever they come, that's a free meal, or anything that they're supposed to have, is you have to make sure that that's happening. And then new customers, you always want to make sure, like, follow up with them. How did they enjoy their first event? Can you fill out this survey? How could we better service you next time? So always having good hospitality and customer service is important. And then of course you need security. Security is crucial to make sure that there's no weapons brought into any events, no fights are breaking out, people are getting rowdy, or let's say if there is a tornado that comes, or if the facility starts having electrical issues, then there could be like a serious harm. You have to make sure to get everyone exited in an orderly fashion, and that is why you have security. You need to have the right amount of security. So you don't want to just show up to an event that has 100,000 people with only about 100 security guards. Like, no, you might want to go halfway and just say, like, okay, let's have about 500 security guards. Let's have close to 800 or something like that, to make sure that every section of the facility is covered in case something happens. You have to have people in the entrance, the exit, during the events. Their job is to strictly make sure everyone is safe. So coordinating the event. This is some key terms that I thought would help me and help you all understand better. So a work order. A work order is a document that details all the requirements of the event. What kind of speakers do you need? What kind of microphones do you need? How many? What kind of TVs or televisions or screens do you need for your event? So this is what a work order is. It has everything from top to bottom, what kind of chairs, anything you could think of as in a work order. And then a work breakdown structure. And it just divides everything into a smaller task. So let's say you have a really big, not event, but a really big project that you need to complete for the event. Let's say if you break it up into 10 people, you can probably tackle it down and get it finished within a reasonable time, instead of one person having to do it all and then possibly make a mistake. If you have 10 different people working on it and having ideas, if someone makes a mistake, there's 9 other people right behind you to help you fix the problem. And then a NAT chart. Now this is huge because it has various tasks in the timeline in which things must be completed. So maybe you have, let's say you're hosting something like the Super Bowl, and you have the artists that perform at halftime. Well, they have to come in well before the actual Super Bowl to get sound checked and to make sure that their outfits are going right with the camera lighting and there's nothing like blinding it or anything like that. So you have to make sure that the stage is set up properly for them and for whatever flashy things they decide to do in their performance. You have to make sure everything is operated correctly, and then maybe that's the most important and it has to be done first. So that's a NAT chart. And then you have a run sheet. A run sheet is what you might see an event coordinator having on the sidelines of the event. So maybe they're backstage or something, and they're just checking off, going time by time. So, okay, this person went on here at this time. Cool. We're going on a smooth schedule. And then if we start getting behind, they can just kind of tell everyone like, hey, we need to pick up the pace a little bit, or just next person, be ready to go ASAP. And then you have a floor plan. A floor plan is super important because you want to make sure everything's laid out properly. And you might have a floor plan for 10 different things. So let's say like the Super Bowl, you have, I remember Maroon 5, they came through the crowd, but then the stage was over here and then the stage switched all of a sudden. And so you have to make sure that there's a floor plan for, this is the entrance of their, when they're coming on stage, and then this is how it's going to look for when the next artist comes on stage. So always having a floor plan is super, super important. It tells you where everything needs to go and where. And then you have a floor diagram. This is just for all the attendees. So this has nothing to do with the people that are a part of the event. This is just for everyone that's attending. So how are we going to move through this facility in an orderly fashion? I personally, when I worked at Aerie, whenever Black Friday was getting really crazy and the store was getting crowded, we had to make sure our floor diagram was, the registers were here, and we're going to make sure to make the line go to the right and along the wall so that the line doesn't go through the store and people are like trying to go through the line and then it's just getting crowded going out the door, because then if the line tends to go out the door, then you might have to keep up with people that are stealing. So that's the floor diagram. And that is all. I hope you enjoyed my presentation.